I am going to go through and demonstrate several of these pens for you. The first three on the top, these are brand new. These I have had for a while, and then I'm going to throw them up against a Copic marker and the Tria marker, because this one is super alcohol in this marker. And so that will show you how much they bleed into each other. So let's go through first. This one is a Pentel Sign Pen. You can see it right there. It's not really brightly branded on there, but it is made in Japan. It's an interesting tip. I've never used one of these before, so I don't know how it wears. It feels kind of nice, and this is just like plain computer paper, just a larger size. So you can see you can get rather thick there, and you can get thin. I don't know how long that thin line will last though. We have the Micron in the 08. I do use these a lot. I tend to go through several of them. The tip tends to be rather nice, stays the same. And this one, it does come in several different sizes. This one is just the one that I like to use to outline some of my drawings. Then we've got the Le Pen, or Le Pen, I don't know. It's by Marby, made in Japan. This one, they tend not to come in different sizes like the Micron. The Micron get really tiny. This one is just kind of like a standard size, and they come in different colors. Let's see, and then we're going to throw it up against just a normal Sharpie pen, just because those are fun. Thing about these is sometimes they don't like to write on their side, or on the corner, like the edge, so you can see where it doesn't really work too well. Let's see, then we've got the Stutler Triplus Fine Liner, dry safe, made in Germany. These I'm pretty happy with. They're rather inexpensive, and they come in a whole range of colors. Which the colors tend to be fun. It's a good, inexpensive black liner pen. Then we've got the Penstix. This one I actually use when I'm doing ornaments, like line work or lettering on ornaments. It's made by Alvin in Austria. And then we've got the Frixion. This one is, it's by Pilot. And what it does is it actually erases the ink with this tip on the end. And it causes the ink basically to go, well, they say invisible. Depending on what kind of paper you're using, you can see it. And for me, I have found that it's usually not a super clean erase. Like, you can usually see some stuff in there. And I mean, sometimes, like, this has been used a few times, so it's not coming out quite as consistently as I would like. The other thing with this is that if you try to erase it when it is wet, it just smears. See? Yeah. So you can see right there where I tried to erase it while it was wet, and it just kind of smears. So we'll try erasing that again once it has dried a little bit. This is not one I would recommend for use with the Copics or other alcohol-based markers. Okay, so we've got all of these set up. I'm going to go through, this is one of the larger sets of the Stuttlers, just because this is a nice, inexpensive way to add some color to what you're working on. I'm going to go through with a blue and just put in a little line going through here so it's more easy to distinguish which pens made which lines. Okay, so I hope that made that a little bit more clear. Sorry about the books in the shot. They are actually what is holding my phone up so I can take a proper video. Well, I guess you can call it proper. Okay, so what I'm using here is the Copic, the neutral tone in number 5. Made in Japan, love these markers. And you can, whenever they run out of ink, you can replace the nibs, and they do sell new ink for it. So you can always put that in. I find that if you take the nib out and then try to put the new ink in, it works best. I've only done it on the blending markers though. So we shall go through here. Gotta leave some room for that other one. So it doesn't seem that anyone's bleeding too much. Okay, so here's the Pentel Sign Pen. It's not the smoothest pen, but it's not too bad. The Micron, the pen, Sharpie Pen. Nothing's been bleeding too much, so may have to do something else to get it to do that, to really show who's gonna mess up your drawings. But until then, here is the Tria. These I do not recommend. They have since stopped making them. They're hard to get, but the reason why I bought them and wanted to try them out was you've got the brush tip, then on this side you've got that nice chisel tip, and then you've got the pen tip, which I'd really liked the idea, but it doesn't really work out too well. Most of them dried out on me. And they also tend to bleed a lot of bleed in these. And then also they only labeled the colors on the tips here, which, you know, when you're grabbing for your markers, you need more of an indication of, there you go, you can see it there, which is why I went through and actually labeled the markers I did get with my label maker. So let's go through here. Yeah, you can see how much that one really bleeds out. And it really does mess up your drawings because it starts getting really kind of messy and it looks really washed out. So let's go through here. The Microns tend to hold up rather well, but then we can go through over a marker surface and see who bleeds the most. Yeah, that Frixion pen. I mean, it's great if you think you're going to make a lot of mistakes in your stuff, but you still need ink. Here, now I think it's dry enough where I could try to get a proper erase on this. Thing is like, if you're in the right light, you will see where you had written anyway. It's going to be kind of like a weird yellow against the white paper. So I mean, it's a better option than the erasable pens that you had to have in 5th grade. I forget which ones those were exactly. But now let's try if I can do this. I'm gonna lay down a lot of ink. So here's the really bad Tria. We're just going to go in order. The Pentel Sign Pen, the Micron and the 08, Le Pen, and of course these results are going to differ on different papers too. I mean, because that's half of the equation. This pen always messes me up because this side is larger than the actual tip. And then the Frixion. The Frixion gets kind of gooey too. Okay, so on this one, surprisingly, no one really demonstrated any real bleed. So let's try it out with the Copic real quick, because that's going to be the pen that, or the marker that most of you guys are probably using. Let's try I've got a brand new one in the neutral 3 gray. So we're going to try that one out. Because that one's just a little bit lighter, so it might show the bleed better. I'm just going to lay a whole bunch on here, because that will be the true test of whether or not they bleed too much for your taste. Where is it? There it is. The nondescript Pentel Sign. The Micron. Le Pen. That one I tend to get a little bit too much bleed on. The Sharpie Pen. The Staedler. And then the Penstix. I apologize if I am not saying any of these correctly. And this is the Frixion. So we're gonna let that dry. Let's go over real quick which ones are bleeding now. Okay, so this is the Pentel Sign up on the top here. This one is the Micron, so it's not too bad. Next is Le Pen. So you can see that Le Pen was bleeding out a bit on the Copics, and you can see a little bit of it as well on the Tria. Let's see, then there's the Sharpie, which, I mean, it's just a difficult one to use, because it doesn't like to draw on the edge of the rounded corner. Next is Stutler, which that one didn't do too badly, considering that one's so inexpensive. Le Pen it's in the same price range, it's only like a couple bucks. But if you had a choice between the two and you had to work with the Copics, I'd go with the Staedler. Let's see, then we've got the Penstix, which that one doesn't seem to be too bad. And now we have this erasable Frixion. So this one should be dry enough. Let's see if we can get that in there. Let's see if this one's dry enough yet. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so you can see a little bit of it. The one on the Copic doesn't look too bad. It actually looks a little bit lighter. Just a touch. I don't know if the phone's going to get it. This one, it shows where it didn't take the whatever it is that it's rubbing off with it. It tends to kind of blur it out. Like you can kind of always see a little bit of where you erase. So it's not a perfect solution, but it is still better in the range of erasable pens. The other thing I dislike about the design of the pen, well, first off, I mean, I've seen different graphics on here. Will this focus for me? There we go. Okay, the thing I am not too fond about on these particular pens is that when you're using it, I mean, it's got a nice grip and all, but if you're using it, you cover up the eraser. The eraser isn't on the cap. So, I mean, unless you're sitting there drawing like this, which I tend not to do, it becomes a hassle to have to take this off every time you go to erase. So that would be it. But thank you for watching. I hope this helps you in figuring out which of these pens would most suit your needs.